Welcome to Sandlot and the Crew, where Sandlot Radio Show meets Wrecking Yard Baseball and Softball. I'm your host, Will Kiger, a.k.a. Wrecking Yard Will. And we're live from Wrecking Yard Baseball and Softball here in Torrance, California, beautiful South Bay. This is part 4, talking about Trent Oeltjen's origin story from Australia all the way to the big leagues, doing some amazing things on and off the field. And I want to go a little bit back. In the last segment, we were talking about some of the stuff he was doing off the field. We've talked about some of the minor league stuff, major league stuff. I'm really curious, as somebody who grew up here in America, what does youth baseball in Australia look like? You know, what was it like for you as a kid? I heard you say you play t-ball, so obviously it's going on over there. But is there many kids playing? Is it highly competitive? And then how has it changed from then to now?
Yeah, good question. The dynamics changed quite a bit, especially in Australia with Little League now coming in, right? They got Little League, Junior League, Senior League, and that's all under the same thing that happens over here, right? So there's always an Australian team that now goes Little League World Series, and that's amazing. It's getting a lot of attention. You know, the whole country sort of watches the Little League team that's representing us over there, but that's coming back from, you know, a little rep team that's back in Australia. So for instance, like I play for my club team, and then also from there, there's an all-star team, so to speak, and we were called the Hills. So the Hills is actually who represented Australia this last tournament, which was amazing to see. So that's sort of how it works back home. There's representative squads, and that's in your little county that you have in Sydney or wherever you're from.
And back then they called it State Cup. So with the Hills District, you had a State Cup team for under 12s, 14s, and 16s.
Yep.
And then if you made the State Cup team for your district, you'd have a pretty good chance of at least getting a tryout with the state team.
Yes.
So the State Cup was the feeder for the state team, and 2 or 3 of each club's best players would end up on the state team. Hills always had a few more, and Cronulla always had a few more. But I know it very well. And there was no Little League. And I actually went to the New South Wales Baseball League and the ABF way back in the day when I first started getting there. Why aren't you playing Little League? There can be charters here, and you can get a bid to the Little League World Series in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, that's on TV and millions of people watch. Why aren't you giving that opportunity to your kids? And at one point, it was all about the politics of the old people that ran it over there. And they had their own leagues, their own set of rules, and they wanted it that way. And the opportunities for kids weren't really their focus, and that pissed me off.
Well, it's changed now, so I think you planted a seed there.
Yes, I did.
So well done. You changed the game. And so now, it's Little League, Junior League, Senior League. You have the state teams, which is now 16s and 18s, generally played in Sydney. But there's a lot of different people doing some great things. You know, there's a lot of different tournaments that we do over there. We bring all the kids together. I think that's a lot of fun for the kids. They're playing with different charters that maybe they live on the other side of Sydney that they wouldn't usually. So especially the ones that come away on these tours, then they play for their charters, and it's like a family gathering when they meet at these tournaments and everything else they're playing back home. So that's what we're trying to do, is create long-lasting friendships and relationships between these families and kids as well along the journey.
And what are the facilities looking like over there? Because I know when some of the kids came over here, I heard that there just wasn't a ton of spots like this. Are they only in certain areas in Australia, or what is a typical, Australian baseball team practice and facilities kind of look like?
Well, there's a paddock. I'm just joking. I'm just kidding. No joke, some of it. But the Olympics was in Sydney 2000. So we have one venue out at Blacktown that's Olympic facility. There's 3 fields right there. And there's also an amazing softball complex that we do a lot of our events out of as well for the little guys. But generally, it's not like over here how every high school has this immaculate turfed out field. I mean, it's incredible, right? And the kids are blown away when we take them to these high schools. High school, we don't have high school baseball, so we'll have rugby, cricket, soccer. Everything's in club, so it's all separated.
And club is like travel, basically?
Like travel ball, yeah.
But they don't really travel. It's within a league within the state, and they travel from the Hills to Cronulla and stuff like that. It's not like travel like we see travel. We're going to Omaha this weekend, and next weekend we're going to Kansas City, and then we're going to the wide world of sports in Florida.
Yeah,
that's travel to me. I don't think they really do that there.
Well, the reason I ask travel is more for the level of competition, because when I think of club, I think of like Little League over here, Babe Ruth, or more of like a recreation kind of league. But that's like y'all's highest level of competitive So why is there no high school baseball? Is just not enough kids willing to play, or?
Yeah, there's not enough numbers. I mean, they'll try to. They'll have the sort of combined schools versus the Catholic schools. But that's really it. I remember
they have a schoolboys championship.
Yeah, schoolboys thing. I remember taking my two buddies who didn't play baseball, play cricket or something, lending them a uniform because they wanted a day off school. And we went out and we tried out. And my dad was actually one of the selectors, and they got cut. They didn't make it. And they were all mad. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Yeah.
Wow. And, you know, back in the day, I got involved with the Endeavor High School baseball program. We pushed to get, it was a sporting high school there in, you know, the Shire, in the Cronulla Sutherland Shire. And so we ended up pushing for baseball to be there. And I went around and we had a little competition, you know, Menai High School, and all the different Cronulla Shire high schools had a team. And we played a Wednesday competition. It's not going on anymore, but at one point there was high school baseball in the Shire, but it was still pretty rinky-dink. Like you said, the cricket kid came over, and you know, first game we played, somebody slid and like totally destroyed their knee because they didn't know how to slide. Yeah. So it's definitely very primitive in terms of that.
Is there college baseball in Australia? No.
Well, the unis have winter teams. It's Sydney Uni has a team, but I don't even think you have to go to Sydney Uni to be on the team.
No.
A lot of kids will play on that Sydney Uni team because they're a winter baseball team, but it's not really like this university's team, and they're not playing a university schedule.
It's more like maybe a
club
intramural. I know some of the colleges here have club teams where you're not like, on the.
Yeah, it'd be like a club team.
Yeah, exactly.
But even club teams here, there's some good players on the college club teams, like that could make a lot of other college teams.
Right.
But they went to this big school. They were more into the academics. But if they went and played somewhere else, they could be on that team.
Yeah.
So a lot of club teams are really good in college.
Yeah. Some kids just want to go to Arizona State and drink beer and, you know, party. And they're like, oh, I'll still play on the club team.
On the club team. It's one day a week.
Kid probably throws 88 miles an hour. You know what I mean? Could still be really a guy at a lot of schools. But I want to switch directions a little bit. And baseball is so unique professionally in the way that there's so many damn levels of professional baseball before you make it to the major leagues. It's not like, you know, the NFL where you either are in the NFL or you're not in the NFL, or NBA, I guess now has the G League, but there's one step. So I'm interested to know how much are the intangibles and just the learning how to be by yourself away from mom and dad. You're on the road. You're not making a ton of money. It's not the best facilities. How much of becoming a big leaguer is just learning how to navigate that? Because I imagine you've seen some guys who are super talented, but just burnt out or couldn't figure that part out.
Yeah, I mean, you can get lost and swallowed up pretty quickly. I mean, a lot of distractions as you're coming through, even in the minor leagues. And that goes back to, I think, it's what you actually want to get out of this. Are you obsessed? Do you know exactly where you're going? Like, that was my one goal is, hey, I'm making it to the major league.
You never planted a seed of doubt in your mind. Like, oh, maybe if I don't make it in 5 years, I'll go do this. You were like, no, I'm making it to the big leagues. No matter what. No plan B. This is what's happening.
Kike Hernandez, no plan B.
Yeah, Kike, we interviewed him. He said the same thing. He was like, yeah, I didn't have a plan B. Like, it was baseball or nothing.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I remember my first meeting in the minor leagues in Minnesota. Al Newman came in. He addressed the squad. We had maybe 40 kids. He said, all right, guys, 2 of you guys are going to make it to the big leagues. Rest of you guys aren't going to make it. 8 o'clock, we'll see you on the field. Walks out. But I remember at that age, first year, looking left, looking right. Well, I know I've got one of those spots.
Yeah.
I don't know who else is. Yeah, and there was 6 or 7 in that room that made it. But I just had that feeling like, I'm doing this.
And never quit. Perseverance.
And
That's
how much
part of this?
How much of that, of you making it, do you account to the staying late, getting there early, you know, not going out partying, just kind of being super disciplined and focused on what you were doing?
I think discipline and focus that's the key in whatever you want to do. I think especially now these kids are like, I can't focus. I have problems. You know, ADD is a big thing that comes up now. Well,
I need a blankie. I need a timeout. Give me a corner, and I need to suck on my thumb.
We all have
Mommy.
A lot of us don't want to do a lot of things.
Yeah, no
absolutely.
kidding.
But you got to sit yourself
Every
down.
day.
You got to get it done.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes.
And I'm interested to see, because I challenged, and so did you, all the kids that we've seen on these 3 tours. And it's like, who is going to do the work? Because a year or 2 years from now, we'll be able to see it. You kind of dabbled. You got after it. But man, that dude, he never stopped. And now he's that. And, you know, that's a beautiful thing about the boat crew that you put together. And I haven't seen a whole lot of action with that. There's 1 or 2 of them. But man, just giving them the idea that we're going to do this together. And, you know, I'm getting Mike to read this book right now. It's called Chase the Lion. And it's about, if your dream doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. And sometimes you got to piggyback other people's dreams to achieve yours. That means you got to find like-minded people. And that's the boat crew.
Yeah. And that's, you know, the Navy SEALs call it their boat crew or whatever else. And you got to have people to hold you accountable. I think, especially people maybe a bit further along, they've, as you just said, maybe done things that where you want to go. They're the ones that, hey, we're going to show you the way. But as you go through, you're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to chase the lion, as you just said, and it should scare you. And there should be, it's a fine line, right? But as you said, Kiki said earlier, there's no plan B.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that some of the kids have a plan B.
Some of y'all are going to need it, man.
Some of you need a plan B.
I know all y'all ain't hitting to your hands bleeding, breaking into
That's
facilities and, you know, willing to not go out and party and do all these kinds of things. I mean, I think personally our society is just getting softer and softer and softer, and you see it in the kids. A lot of the parents are just, you know, they just baby the shit out of these kids. And then these kids have these dreams of playing college and pro ball, but they're super soft. So it's like, how much of it?
Well, they've softened the game up too. Trent, spring training, did they ever teach you how to take out a runner at second? Did you practice those slides where your slide was to take out the second baseman or the shortstop? You practiced that. They also taught you how to run over the catcher if he was in your way. And they taught the catchers how to take that shot. They taught us pitchers how to take a shot when we were going to get run over on that play, because it was a hard game. They don't even have to teach that anymore.
No.
You don't have to jump a runner anymore. You don't have to clear the base. You don't have to use the base as a barrier between you and the runner. You can stand right there on the base and turn a double play, and nobody's ever going to hit you.
Yeah, you see it, like I said, in our society. I mean, it's across baseball, football even now. I mean, when we were younger watching football growing up, dudes got murdered on the field. Like, they got their heads taken off. It was blind side, just dudes getting killed, basically. And now, obviously, they're not even allowing a lot of that kind of hits. There's no helmet to helmet. You can't hit a defense, you know, no crackbacks, all this kind of stuff. So how much, if you're talking to a kid, how much would you say is, you know, hey, you need to develop toughness, mental fortitude, grit versus just your obvious skill development? Because everyone knows you need to be good at the game, but how much of that side, the mental side, the toughness, that is really crucial?
We create a major focus on that. I think that's, as you said, yeah, you got to develop and you got to get stronger and the nerve patterning and everything else. Yeah, that's one side of the coin. The other side, that's the one that's going to take you to levels that you can't even comprehend in anything you do in life.
The sixth hole.
And it sets you, it does. It sets you apart from everybody else. And let's face it, a lot of the kids that we're seeing right now, they have the tools, but do they have the makeup? Yeah. And that's what we're going to see. We're going to see if they have the makeup.
And what we just said too, it creates opportunity, right?
Sorry about that.
You got a hippie in the background.
That's Mr. Mike Milmo. You'll hear some epic stories from him on some other. He's a character. He's a character, that guy. Where were we at?
I think nowadays with the mindset, the mentality, it creates opportunities for these kids. If you're hungry and you get after it, I mean, there's now a path for you to go through and surpass a lot of these kids that aren't doing what you're doing.
And how much of it is character? Because I tell kids all the time, like, I think a lot of these kids don't understand how much their character and their reputation matters. And speaking of that, every single Australian we've talked to about Travis Bazzana has said the same thing you've said. The kid is obsessed. He's a great dude. He's on the field, off the field. He's that guy. So how much is character important? Because I've seen kids don't realize that your coach is the one who's going to go talk to that scout, that college scout or whatever. And if your coach sees you dicking off in practice every day, you got bad grades, you're getting in trouble, he's not going to put his name and his reputation on the line for you. Because if you go and screw it up, now that college is never going to take any kids from him. So how important is character?
Yeah, I mean, that's everything, right? You're not only supporting the name, on the front of your jersey, but more so it's your family. It's what's on the back as well. It's honor, absolutely. And your parents, your support crew have sacrificed a lot to get you to where you are. And these kids don't realize until you have kids yourself of how much sacrifice and everything it takes. You do anything for your kids. And we try to teach these kids like, hey man, you got to thank and you got to appreciate what mom and dad do for you now. Mark Sweeney came and spoke to the group in San Diego, and that was the number one thing he spoke to. And it was amazing. And afterwards, I saw the kids go up, hug their mom and dad, and it was a beautiful thing. I was in the room, right? Tad had a tear in his eye. Yeah, but it's amazing. And that's, we all got to thank mom and dad for everything that they've done for us. And
100%.
Yeah. And, we always talk about, family's number one, school's number two, and then your sport, your game is number three.
Right.
And if you approach it that way, you're going to get support from home. You're going to be a type of student that coaches are going to want to have in their programs because they want kids that are smart.
Yeah.
Let's face it. And
100%.
I can say that about a lot of our Aussie kids. We're not going to have to worry about them when they come over here for their grades, right? Because they've been achieving in the classroom, a lot of them.
And that's the thing, you put your name on a kid, the ship falls down pretty quickly when all of a sudden that kid doesn't stop, he stops showing up for class, coaches have to worry about him. When we call that coach again, they're not going to listen quite as much as they are now when everyone we deliver is a quality kid on and off the field.
100%. And that's exactly what I was talking about. Or Tag, go ahead.
When we were at Austin P, they have guys bringing them players all the time. And most of the time it's a waste of their time. And both Heath and the head coach came to me and said, I really appreciate that you brought these two guys to us because they both can really play. And 95% of the kids that get put in front of us can't. And they were very pleased. And I straight up said, Heath, you and I have been scouting a long time. I'm not putting anybody in front of you that can't play.
Right.
I can't do it. And we have some kids that we're going to come to the reality with that we might not be able to help them because they don't quite have the tools or the skill set to come and play. Mm-hmm. And that's a reality.
Yeah, that was Phoenix McFarlane and Cooper Wilson, and as you did the tour with them, and they're two quality kids, great families, and they're ones that absolutely would put our name behind. And sometimes that's what you need in baseball, especially. You need a sponsor. You need someone who's going to support you and put your name forward.
We didn't have it.
No.
You did because of Howie, but that was based on your tools. It wasn't like you had a bunch of people pushing you. And I'm the same, it was like my ability to get guys out got me a chance because nobody was calling anybody for me. So
right.
I love doing this because I look back at how cool it would have been to have somebody helping me along the way. Because, when you're making these decisions on your own as a kid, you might not be making the best decisions, and it'd be nice to have some guidance.
Well, that's why it's so cool both you guys are doing and giving back to the game, giving back to the kids. You guys could easily just float off, go do whatever, be unseen, just be chilling. And you're both out here impacting real people, kids, families. These are opportunities that kid could go on and that could affect his entire family line, the entire generation. So I really appreciate what you guys are doing for the kids, for the game. It's awesome stuff. And as you see, it's not just the skills, it's also the mental toughness, the fortitude, the character. And coaches want smart players, not only because you have to be smart to understand the game of baseball, but what a lot of you guys need to understand is that the better your GPA is, the more doors will open for you. If you have good grades, you might not be the best player, but you can probably go play at a lot of different schools just because your grades. The way this system is set up, there's only so many scholarships. And if you have good grades, maybe you can get an academic scholarship. Maybe you can be a walk-on. Maybe you could play Ivy League. So I know kids who had D1 scholarships and had to go play JUCO because they didn't have the grades. And I just hate to see that.
Yeah, and it takes a little bit of extra effort in the classroom. And I got to tell you, I was a kid that didn't have any financial support going through college, and I earned academic scholarships, and they changed my whole life. I would have had to take out a bunch of loans and own a bunch of money. But because I was spent extra time studying and getting good grades, these things just kind of fell in my lap, and they were different makers. It made it so I could go home at Christmas and buy everybody a gift, you know, like, and still pay for my school. So yeah, I got to tell you, if you have a chance to spend extra time on your schooling, do it, because you can never stop learning. You can never get too smart. I don't think anybody's been in trouble for being too smart.
No, I haven't seen that. I'm hoping this doesn't contradict everything we just said. But Trent, what kind of student were you before you?
Oh, dude.
No, I'm just kidding. I was a decent student, but like all of us, I could have done more. Right? I could have put more time in, everything else. But I was obsessed with baseball. I thought I didn't have someone around me saying, "Hey, school matters. You need to lock in." You know, and that's a story with Travis. He's so obsessed with baseball. He thought, I'll be okay. I don't need to worry about this. It almost came close where he wasn't able to get in academically to Oregon State. He had to take some extra classes, everything else, because his GPA wasn't up to standard.
Lose that GPA.
That would have been devastating. I mean, look what he's doing now.
Yeah, I mean, shit. That could have been a what if.
Number 3 prospect in all of baseball for the college draft or the entire draft. That almost wouldn't have happened if he didn't have his grades. So think about that. That's how important school is, kids.
Yeah, 100%. Travis was also on the Sandlot radio show last season. You can go check that interview out. So is Trent as well. We appreciate him. Go check that out on SoundCloud. It's totally free. You don't even need an account. Just type in Sandlot radio show. We got interviews from Mookie Betts, Kike Hernandez, Rob Nelson, who is the guy who created Big League Chew, which is like the coolest thing ever. So it's really awesome. Trent, I want to thank you so much for coming out. It's been awesome getting to know you and talking to you more on the podcast. Really excited to do some stuff with Legacy and Wrecking Crew. And go ahead and plug your stuff. You guys follow Trent on Instagram. What is the website for Legacy and all that good stuff?
Yes, on Instagram, Team Legacy Sports. And then also my personal ones, Trent Oeltjen Official. So I'm on Instagram, Facebook, all the amazing social media strands. And we got websites as well. So again, we got lots of events, tournaments down here in Southern California. So we're really excited for 2024 and to bring all the families together.
Thanks so much, Trent. I really appreciate you coming down. And Will, man, you're getting better at this all the time.
Hey, we're getting some practice in. We're getting those reps in.
Wily veteran pretty soon.
Yeah, we're working on it. Well, that's going to do it for the Trent Oeltjen interview. This is segment 4. Appreciate everybody. If you're still watching, that's awesome. Follow us on Instagram at Wrecking Yard Baseball, Sandlot Radio Show. Follow Trent. If you're in Southern California, come on down to the Wrecking Yard. Come check it out. We'd love to have you. If you're interested in going to Australia or playing in some of these tournaments, tap in. Send us an email. Send us a DM. We'd love to connect you with Trent, and appreciate you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and get ready for more heat coming your way.
Thanks for hanging out with us.